Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the Art of Prevention podcast. And as always, I have another amazing guest. And today we have a bit of a unique guest. So I always try and bring the highest level clinicians, coaches, and athletes onto the podcast so that we can distill information that they've gleaned to everybody that's listening. And today I've got somebody who is an athlete, but really I think of you, Rodney, as a little bit more of like a community leader kind of person with the awesome running group that you've created. And you're one of the founders of this running group. And you've really cultivated that group to where it's really flourishing now. So, Rodney Ripley, you're one of the founders of the Good Guys Run Club down in Houston, Texas. Although, man, you guys are growing at such an alarming rate. I mean, not alarming, but in a really cool way. And my brother's one of the guys that goes up and shows up to the Good Guys Run Club. And he was telling me how unique it is as a group that everybody shows up, and you guys have a huge spectrum of athletes that show up, from people that are qualifying and running at Boston all the way down to people that are just making it around that 4-mile loop. So you're a decathlete over at A&M, and then post-collegiate, kind of sifting around, and then you started the Good Guys Run Club, right? Tell me a little bit more about your backstory and how the Good Guys Run Club came to be.
Yeah, so like a lot of us guys on the run club were buddies from the A&M track team, all kind of grew up around each other. And really, I think like just the cross country community, like kind of everyone knew each other really well. So that's how like I got to be friends with your brother, Brigham. He was pretty good friends with another one of the runners that ran at A&M. We've met, and then we put together this team of guys to do this amazing relay called the Texas Independence Relay. And it was kind of funny. We were just all sitting in a room one day, and we were like, "Hey, like we've all got like good athletic history. Like look at this like course record for this 187 miles. It's at this pace. It's like it's 6-minute pace. Like we can crush that." And we got like a bunch of us together to go run it, and we miserably failed that year. Brigham wasn't on the team that year, I believe. But then, like we all started running. We lost. We got like 4th place. So we considered that like a terrible loss and everything. And we were like, okay, like we're going to get our butts into gear the next year. And that's whenever I think Slat and Brigham, like they like rekindled or connected, and he started running with us, staying in shape, and then he was on the team and everything, and we just started like building a squad of guys. And I definitely did not fit in with all those runners as far as like the caliber of running that they're at, but it was still just like a cool group of guys. Like we were all together, and just like meshed really well, encouraged each other, and then just built like a huge community out of it, and then came back and won it the next year.
Yeah. So how did you guys transition from being a group of dudes getting together and training for this race, which the next Texas Independent Relay is coming up, right?
Right. Yeah. We're in the month of March. So March 23rd, 24th is when we're going to be running that race.
Super exciting. How'd you guys grow from, 4, 5, 6 guys coming together to now you guys have over 100 people coming together to go for a run with each other on Wednesday nights?
It just it just flourished, really. Like I think people just saw us together running, and I think it was also just like kind of just catching lightning in a bottle. Like I think everyone was in that phase, like after COVID, they wanted to run and stay in shape, and they were seeing us getting out there, and everyone feels very comfortable with like our group of guys, even though like some people are faster than others. And then we just started going from like having the 12 people that showed up from the relay team, and then it grew to like 20 people the next day. People were inviting their friends or girlfriends and whatnot. And then we moved to a good, like where we were running from was primarily bars, which is like a typical for a lot of run clubs.
It doesn't
but
really
it's like
hurt.
after we finished running, we were Yeah, we went to Buffalo Bayou Brewery at first, which was a great location, but just kind of awkward to get to the run trails. And then we went to Patterson's Park for a little bit, and that's when we started getting like 50 plus people showing up regularly. And from running around that 4 mile loop that we had there on the White Oak Bayou, we found Highline Park, and that's just kind of like been our home since then, being over there at MKT and in that area. And then just the popular location, beer, bunch of guys running around shirtless, then which of course attracted some girls to come, and it just went from from like 12 people to 50 people to like over 100 easily every single week.
And I think that's such a big thing that so many people are craving. Not necessarily like the guys run without their shirts on, but when we went through COVID and we weren't able to get together, we saw all these different pathological things occur. And we saw increases in loneliness and then a lot of the sequelae of loneliness, which includes substance abuse and a lot of like overdose deaths and things like that in the United States. And now another thing of like sequelae of COVID is a lot of people work from home
Mm,
and don't get real face to face interaction like we used to. Like we don't really
right.
interact with the workplace like we used to. So I'm sure a ton of people that go to the run club work from home. And it's like,
Hmm.
and I know a lot of people you were talking about like really like look forward to Wednesday and going for a run
Yeah.
and doing that 4 mile loop, which is kind of wild. You know, it's almost like a similar to like in the 80s and 90s when like the jogging boom began because of Nike's founder, Bill Bowerman, made that book Jogging, you know?
Mhm. Right.
What are some of the things that differentiate your run club from other like get togethers for running? Because I know of a lot of like, you know, quote unquote run clubs that they get together and it's a group of fast guys or
Hmm.
girls and stuff like that, but they kind of stagnate. And it's like, you know, you get like 5 people, right?
Yeah.
What's made y'all's group really grow? I'm sure it's something besides the discounted drinks over at the bar afterwards.
Yeah. I think it's really just like just the community, like just the group of people that we kind of started with out there, like made it fun. And we just did a really good job of like being really inclusive with everybody with the paces, like not having just the fast runners there. Like we would start like maybe with different pace groups. So we'd have like, okay, like we'll let the fast guys go first. They're not have to run around, everybody at the beginning. And then we just had a more comfortable pace with everybody else. And there was really just no strict regiment. It was kind of like if you want to work hard, like we got the guys for you. But if you want to just hang out and run, like you can literally sit at the bar and drink the whole entire time and wait for us to come back. And yeah, like it's just we just had a fun group of people out there, and people have stayed, and we've had some more people kind of grow from it.
Ryan, are you familiar with a guy named Ryan Holiday?
Uh, oh shit, it sounds familiar.
So he lives in Texas, just outside of Austin,
Okay.
and he like loves like Stoic philosophy. I just watched him
Okay.
speak at a convention. It was super good. And one of his books is titled "Ego is the Enemy."
Uh-huh.
And when we were talking earlier, we were talking about how like a lot of times running can be this really ego driven kind of sport, like really like
Right.
this pervasive ethos of like I'm faster than you and stuff like that, you know, like, and
Hmm.
as childish as that sounds, like that can really like progress and permeate a lot of people's like why they
Right.
run, you know.
Hmm. Right.
Um, I know the name is the Good Guys Run Club, but how do you guys kind of take that ego out of the equation so that it is something that like
Yeah.
everybody feels comfortable showing up and just doing their thing, whether that be walk jogging that 4 mile loop or like really getting after it with the training and some of the accessory training that y'all do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of like a big thing. Like, yeah, with the faster guys, like usually people like at first we're getting intimidated by like, oh, like we're not going to be able to keep up with you guys. You're going to leave us in the dust. And like honestly, that's like one thing that Jake Boots, like he's like the founder of it all. I helped him out like with getting all the logistics and playing, like getting everyone everywhere. But he was just a really fast guy, and he was me and him were both like just almost like cold calling people and like telling people, hey, like if you come, like bring three of your other friends, like everyone come, like let's go for a jog this day, like it's a great day outside and all that. And a lot of people were just kind of intimidated, like, yeah, no, you guys are going to be way too fast. Like, we're not going to be able to keep up. It's like, no, literally, like, you can walk for a little bit, run for a little bit, but we really just want to hang out with you after. That's all we really care about. We just want to see your faces. And it slowly got people like out of like their shell to come and do it. And we would jog with them, like even though we were way faster, we'd run with them, and then we'd be like, okay, now we got like our 5 minutes of talking, and we'd go do our thing,
Mhm.
and then yeah, we just just got people to get out of their shells to come and run with us and everything.
I'm going to be honest with you. When I was in chiropractic school, I was coming from running at Adams State, which, some people know about, a lot of people don't. But it's got a little bit of a reputation. And so I was in chiropractic school wanting people to run with because I was training
Hmm.
for like the Chiro Games, which is like a big like games that's in between like schools. So all the
Like a
schools
big
come
old field
together.
day kind of thing.
Yeah, so you've
Yeah.
like Canadians coming down from Canada, and we all meet up in Florida in November, and it's a really, really
Hmm.
good time.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to train for the Cairo games, and literally I couldn't get a single person to run with me. I think I got one guy to run with me and do one workout with me, and
Yeah.
it was like pitiful. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. Like, how did you make that happen? You know, how did you
Yeah.
guys get so much success in the beginning? And then really grow it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And like a lot of our people that had come, like it's kind of like they say like I just don't run. I couldn't make it 4 miles. I'm like you don't have to run 4 miles. You can just run for 1 mile to 1 mile back, and that's two. And it's very easily like, and if you're running really slow, like that takes you 20 minutes. So you're doing 20 minutes of work, and then we hang out and like we'll just socialize after that kind of stuff. So it was really just kind of breaking it down to people, making it simple. Fartlek runs were like a cool thing to kind of introduce to everybody because not everyone knows like what kind of workout style that is. So it's like, okay, like for you run for 1 minute and then you could walk for 1 minute. Like, and that's
Hmm.
like probably the simplest way to do a fartlek run. And then like once they start stepping up, like, okay, like now do 1 minute running and then 1 minute slow jog. Like then after a little bit, you're doing 2 minutes fast and then 1 minute slow jog and stuff like that. So like after a little bit, like people are running for 10 minutes, then they're running for 20 minutes, then they're running for 30 minutes, 40 minutes straight. And then before they know it, they're running a full loop around and they're like, feel so accomplished by it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then they come up with this wild idea, like, all right, now I think I'm gonna go run a marathon. And I'm like, you got to do what you just did times like seven or whatever.
Yeah, I that's something I was about to bring up. Is like once people get their, they dip their toes in the water with a little bit of running, and then they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, this is really fun. I would really like hanging out with everybody." It
Uh-huh.
sounds like you guys have had a lot of people transition to now. I have some goals with running. Now I
Yep.
want to do a half. I want to do a full marathon, stuff like that.
Hmm.
How cool has it been to watch people make that transformation?
That's really cool. Yeah. Like, I mean, just this other week, whenever I was hanging out at Run Club a little late, like I'm usually the last one to leave on our Wednesday socials. Like I'll take down all of our like our flag poles and all that kind of stuff. We have like we've gotten like things to like make us look a little bit more official now. But I was talking to these two guys and they were just like, "Hey, how did like this all come together?" And they just kind of wanted to know like the state of the Run Club, stuff like that. And they said in the middle, like, "Oh yeah, I just love coming, like, cause like I just made friends out of this. Like me and him didn't know each other before this, and like now we're buddies and we're hanging out all the time." So like whenever I see stuff like that, I'm like, this is what it's all about. Like it's kind of cool. It's where it's gotten people to meet, and then that same guy, he was like winning a race raffle with us, and then he ended up getting to run the half marathon because he just was showing up and got a free half marathon admissions.
Oh shoot!
So yeah, so he went from like I'll just run to get in shape and kind of like get on top of my cardio game, and then now he's running a half marathon, and he's never done that distance before. So
And the elite side's kind of, or the crew of people that are really really psyched. That's also growing, right?
yes, oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like with getting a lot of people in shape for the TIR, so like I'll jump back on that kind of stuff. Like that group that won the TIR in 2023, they were working out hard that whole entire year. And the Houston Marathon actually happens coincidentally like in the beginning of January. So like a lot of them like we were training up for like the half marathon or the full marathon for then. And so they're already like at a good block of shape, and like they were running PRs. Some of them were Boston qualifying and stuff like that. And we had one guy that Boston qualified that year and still ran on the TIR team, and then went and ran his PR in Boston too. So like just
Damn.
from some of the competitive nature that we have in there, like in almost like the network of like high caliber runners that we have, like they all kind of build off of each other too, and like they enjoy kind of just having like a good brotherhood or camaraderie around us too.
I hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Art of Prevention podcast. I wanted to let you know about a new resource that is available on our website. And this resource is specifically for runners who want to strength train. So we all know from our previous podcasts and many guests on the podcast that strength training is essential for runners to, one, improve their running economy as well as decrease their chances of injury. For being an awesome listener to this podcast, all you have to do is go onto our website and click on the sports icon and then go down to running, and you'll see that PDF pop up, Strength Training for Runners. And for being an awesome listener, I'm giving a 20% discount if you type in podcast in all caps at checkout. This PDF I hope will help out a bunch of people and get more runners into the weight room with the right types of programming. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Yeah, I remember y'all training hard because I was getting a lot of phone calls from my brother last year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, this hurts, and I don't have a training facility at OSU to come and fix me up anymore.
Yeah, so the training facility was calling Nick and like seeing what kind of exercises and stuff he should be doing. But we got him mostly patched up. I think he's going to do a lot better this year.
Yeah. No, heck yeah. He's been doing pretty good. Like he kind of came out of the woodworks randomly one day. Like he's like, hey, like he has Harvey now and everything. So like he's up taking care of the kid and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, hey, I can make it out for a Saturday long run. Like who's all going to be there? I'm like, oh, Bobby's going to be there, and Bobby's one of our like really good runners that we have on the team. I was like, cool, like we'll do a long run. And they just knocked out a 12-mile run, and I was looking at their pace and like, dude, they ran like 6:30s for 12 miles. And I was like, Brigham, you are in good shape. Thank God you've been running lately. He's like, dude, I feel like I didn't even realize before I knew, like we were at 10 miles. And I was like, you're nuts, man.
For those of you that don't know, I do have a brother, and he just had a kid. The kid's name is Harvey. So don't worry, Harvey's not like a dog or anything like that. He had to take some time. He had to get that He had to get that dad bod ready, you know?
Yeah.
And now he's got that dad strength, I guess. Because he's been doing some runs, man.
I mean, he's gained some muscle too, because like I've seen pictures of him when he was running at OSU. So like I've always seen him when he's, I guess, weighed a little bit more, but he's been gaining some muscle and stuff like that too. And he can still bust out like sub-6 pace whenever it comes down to it.
Yeah, which a lot of runners think that is insane. Like, I treat a lot of runners, right, up in Summit County, and I tell them like, hey, you should be strength training. It's going to decrease your chances of getting these injuries because it's going to increase your tissue tolerance. It'll even benefit your running performance. And gosh, like sometimes that can be a real uphill battle with just like explaining to people that it's going to be beneficial. And there are certain ways in which you can like gain mass with weight training, but there are also things that you can do that won't gain mass, but you will gain in strength.
Right.
But I mean, my brother's a prime example of somebody who, he had a couple injuries and stuff going on. I hope he doesn't mind me talking about him on this podcast. I'm sure he doesn't.
It's inside of a what's it called? The fifth
HIPAA.
Or something like that.
Yeah,
HIPAA law. Yeah.
It's a HIPAA violation for sure, but I'm sure he'll be all right.
He won't sue you.
Yeah. I'm giving him free treatment, so he'll be all right with it. He's gained a little bit of muscle mass, but I think it's really benefited him, and it's benefited him not only like with his running and stuff, but also like longevity wise, because we know that if we look at the lifespan, we have hormonal changes that occur around the age of 40. The changes are more pronounced in women, as their like hormones start to really like go down as far as like estrogen and stuff like that, things that help you recover from bouts of exercise. But really, like we reach like muscle mass, like the maximum of that, and the maximum in bone mineral density around the ages of, between 30 and 40. And then we see a slow decline. But what we see is that with athletes that are doing strength training and things like running, that decline, instead of being a sharp decline, is a much smaller decline. So people are more likely to stay the same or just have like a really small decline as opposed to that steep decline that you often see in like the literature and stuff like that. I think
Right.
that's one of the really cool things about the run club that you've started is you're making running kind of cool again, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not that isolated person on the side of the road that's just going for that run. It's like
Mhm.
it's been something that's really been really difficult for me to find post collegiately, and I'm sure it was something that was difficult for you to find too. And so then you
Yeah.
guys just made it, right?
Right. Yeah. Like, interestingly enough, like so my senior year of college, I did an internship and it goes into your semester of college, which luckily I was able to do it like in College Station still. I did the construction and management program over at A&M and was able to get an internship with the construction team that was building the new track and field complex, the outdoor track and field
No
complex
way.
there. So yeah, it was just a seriously like such a lucky lottery ticket that I got to go and do that because they've been talking about that project for years. And so then when they gave me an offer to be an intern with them, it was super awesome. But I had to choose between wanting to still run on the track team and being an intern, and I could have done both, but like I was at that crossroads in my life, and I was like, oh, like I think I need to focus on the rest of my life versus like trying to qualify for SECs and stuff like that. So I made that decision, and whenever I had stopped working out, I like there was an extreme decline in my like my moods. I mean, I was borderline depressed at that time, and just really tough transition getting getting like back into the gym and like doing stuff on my own versus having like a coached routine and having the community of like all my athletes I worked out with all the time. Like now I'm by myself and having to come up with my own workouts. And it was like extremely tough and discouraging for a long time. And I was figuring it out slowly because I was still like in college, like had friends and everything. So like got through all that. But even whenever I went home, I was like trying to find a community of people to go work out with. So I eventually founded weightlifting, which did like all the snatches and clean and jerks and all that kind of stuff. And then I switched from that, and then I like had to swallow some pride when you do Olympic weightlifting and you talk about CrossFitters, you're like these guys that's all fake. That's whatever. And then I ended up picking up CrossFit, and I was like, nope, this is fun. I like this. This is my style of working out I need,
Mm-hmm.
and found that community, and then now it's transitioned into the run club and everything, and like it's very it was a very easy transition, and like the running community is so awesome in Houston too, like as well as CrossFitters. Not like I left the CrossFit community because I was like, oh, these guys are too much. Like it was I'm having a hard time letting go of CrossFit right now, but
Yeah, no, even
it's been fun.
even up in Summit County, like that's one thing that I really found was a really cool CrossFit community up there. And it's a really small community, just in general. And I love the CrossFitters. I go out and I help a lot of the CrossFitters stay CrossFitting, you know.
Mhm.
But it's so cool, and it's such an ironic thing because you'd think that you need to have something that's like pure, like just enjoyment or something like that. But really, like going for a run and going for a CrossFit workout, especially, like that's a pretty painful ordeal, you know?
Yeah, that's very uncomfortable.
But
I had like the Garmin actually tracks the hit workouts on it.
oh yeah.
I'll calculate where I'll like let it just kind of ride while I'm doing a workout and stuff like that. And I've seen my heart rate's gotten the highest or second highest in CrossFit. And it's been like 197. Like I think I might have hit 201 one time. Maybe it was from CrossFit, or maybe it was from doing this other crazy ultra marathon relay that I did. It was a totally different one called the habanero run. But yeah, no, like it's you get into some uncomfortable places when in CrossFit. And I'm wearing the High Rocks shirt right now too. I haven't even really done a High Rocks thing yet, but that's another facet of fitness I think, and like will end up falling down my path.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, are you gonna start like blending like the CrossFit style stuff with the run club? You know, bring some rowers and stuff out to the club
No,
sometime. And
it would be cool, but no, we're just keeping it just running. I have no problem with connecting with like the High Rocks community and like doing some like collaborative like run clinics and things like that. But we tried to do something like that actually with that the High Rocks manager I think we were talking a little bit about earlier.
Mhm.
We try to do something, and it's just got a glue, and it is kind of like one of those things that you take for granted, like with how great our community has been, and being like I don't think we've had like I've there's maybe been a number of times I can count on my hand where we've had less than like 50 people show up, and
Wow.
it either has to do from weather or like a holiday or something like that, pretty much. And besides that, like it gets to be like 100 people every time. And
It,
unfortunately, like when we try to do something with High Rocks, like to do like a Friday morning workout, like we couldn't get 5 people out there consistently. And
yeah,
it's
it's tough.
just yeah, and High Rocks is a big community, a big up and coming community right now. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Just sometimes there's just a little bit of magic there to get things going.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, it happens. It'll grow, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, High Rocks is doing fine without the good guys.
One thing I'm curious about, how'd you guys come up with the name the Good Guys Run Club?
I think we were literally just messing around and just like we needed a team name for the TIR, and it was kind of already like with the slogan. It's like good guys always win, and we say that all the time now. And if we need to like patent that saying or put some kind of hashtag and everything on it all the
Yeah,
time.
I think everybody, you should be hashtagging that Good Guys
Yeah.
Always Win, right?
Yeah, it's on our tent. We got a tent for this last year, and it's got our team logo on it, and then also the always win on there. So it's pretty cool.
And y'all are like kind of sponsored right now. Shout out to ASICS. No affiliation with this
Yep.
podcast, of course, but you know, like that's pretty cool that you guys have somebody kind of helping y'all out and kind of spreading the word and
Yeah,
helping you grow
no,
your
that
community,
was
right?
an awesome catch for us to be able to get. Like, we we've been waiting for something like this for a while. So luckily, we were able to like establish a relationship with Chris Anton and CJ Brown, and we were able to get something to work, and they're sponsoring us for the this year's TIR relay. So
Yeah, that guy was a runner. He was like a real badass runner back in my high
CJ,
school days. Yeah,
yeah, so yeah, familiar. I think he is probably your age.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But freaking well, so like yeah, um last year at TR in 2023, there was another team that ran against us, and they were sponsored by Mizuno, their Nord Track Club, and we think we scared them off because they're not running against us this year, but they're running another relay and called the Speed Project. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
no, no.
It's I guess it's some I don't know exactly what it is, so I'm probably gonna like not say exact the right thing, but I think it's like a relay from LA to no from Vegas to LA or something like that.
Okay.
So it kind of the same aspect of what TIR is. So like for those that don't know, Texas Independence Relay, it's been a thing for like 10 plus years now in Texas. Like I've heard people talk about it for a while, and it's a relay from Gonzales, Texas, where the Battle of Texas Independence started, and you run all the way to Houston, Texas, and it's a total of 187 miles, and you get 12 teammates where you can run it back and forth. So, um, yeah, I can explain further on all that kind of stuff. But basically, that team, and I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. That team, they got sponsored by Mizuno the year before, and we beat them. So I'm like, guys, we cannot be cursed by a shoe deal. Like, if we lose and we have A6, like, when we're repping A6, this is gonna be bad. So
Well, I
uh,
mean, y'all have multiple teams in it this year too, right?
yeah, we got 5 total teams.
And how many did you have last year?
We had three. So we had uh 3 full teams, 2 male teams, 1 co-ed team. So that was 36 runners. This year we have 5 teams, but it's 52 athletes. We got the red team, which is our like A team that's going to be sponsored by A6. They're 12-man fast guys pretty much, and then we have all 3 other teams are co-ed teams. We had more girls that wanted to run it this year. We thought about making like a team full of queens pretty much and having all girls. It just didn't work out, so we split everybody up, and now we have 3 other co-ed teams: green, blue, and orange. So just kind of
That's
came
it. That's incredible. Gosh.
yeah. So it's 48 athletes right there, and then we have the Indo squad, which is comprised of 4 athletes. So that's actually I'm in that team. Jake Boots, the founder's in that team. Ian Sanders, another really good like runner that we have who loves just challenges like this. He's doing it. And we have Aaron Murray, who's also running. He was a former Texas A&M track and field athlete as well. Yeah.
So you just have less people covering the same amount of ground?
Same amount of distance. Yeah. So when you run the Texas Independence Relay, like I said, you have 36 legs that you split up from 187 miles, and it's various distances, but it's between a 5K and a 10K distance typically. So like you could end up running like 12 miles, or you can end up running 19 miles total, but you're running, and you can run the legs however you want. Like if you want to have like a group of 6 people do the first half of the shift and then let the next 6 do the second half of the shift, like that's how you can do it. But typically people just do it like everyone runs, like every member, like 12 people run, and then the next 12 will run, then the next 12 will run. So you end up running one in the beginning of the day when you're comfortable and excited. You run the next one when it's like 11 p.m. to maybe 3 a.m. in the morning.
Oh,
And then
I forgot that it probably goes through the night. Yeah.
Yeah. The go through the night part is where you figure out who you are. And yeah, the third leg is always like the battle that everyone's like, man, I just want to go to sleep. I just want to eat and go to sleep.
Because y'all are also like driving around in like support vehicles and all that stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. So like you get 2 vehicles. That's part of the rules. So you get 2 vehicles. Everyone has to run 3 legs. Everyone has to run. Well, I mean, with the exception of like injuries and however stuff happens like along the way. But I mean, the race director isn't gonna knock about that. But yeah, you get 3 runs, typically split up with everybody, and you have to run one time during the first 24-hour time period, like from the day or the next day. Like Saturday, you have to run 1 leg. Sunday, you have to run 1 leg.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it works.
So what's next? What's on the horizon for the good guys?
I just keep competing hard. There's other competitions, obviously, since we got some big runners that we want to start putting them in bigger competitions. Like there's one in Austin called Zilker Relays. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but it's probably just like a Texas local thing, but it's like a 4x2 mile relay around Zilker Park. And that would be a fun one to go join in. And we're actually starting to do a fundraiser to get that same team to go to Hood to Coast. It's a big relay up in Seattle. I'm pretty sure. No, Portland, Oregon. My bad. And you run from the top of a mountain down to the coast, and it's like it's supposed to be the mother of all relays and all that kind of stuff. If you haven't heard of that.
And y'all do a lot of charity stuff too, right?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, glad you said that. So most important thing, we are now officially a nonprofit and everything too. We still have Good Guys Run Club as an entity like that is founded by me and Jake. We're both partners on it. So we have Good Guys Running Community now, which is a nonprofit organization that we're starting to roll out and do some fundraisers and stuff with.
Tell me about some of the fundraising stuff that you've been doing.
Yeah, so we've already done one like with the Houston Marathon where we've gone through other fundraisers to raise money so you can get a free registration with the Houston Marathon. It's called like the Hero Program. So we had a lot of athletes sign up and do that, but then after the fact, we did a bar crawl, and it was like our first kind of like philanthropy fundraiser event, and we raised money. So for everyone that bought a registration, and I think we even got a kickback from some of the bars too. We were getting money back, and we returned it back to some of the fundraisers that we partnered with during the Houston Marathon. So we raised like $750 there, and distributed that between three fundraisers. And now the next thing that we're trying to work with is with the YMCA. Like they've got a couple of fun backpack fundraisers and all that kind of stuff that they're saying like we'd be great to collab with on those kind of things.
So y'all are talking the talk, but you're walking the walk with being good guys, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was kind of. We've actually applied to be a nonprofit in 2023, like pretty early on, like I'd say like in June, and like it just takes it. I mean, it works on government time, like
Yeah.
you got to wait for it to get approved. So like when we finally got approved, like late December, one of the other girls, like she is kind of like spearheading the whole nonprofit thing. I think she's very good and well connected, like in that aspect of like helping fundraise and making money that way, to where like we're just kind of leaving it at her court. So like now that we are officially approved, we've been like working on like connections with organizations that would want to do fundraising, and also just coming up with like fundraiser ideas too. Like bar crawls is a simple one. Raffles, like whenever we do we're gonna do a Founders Day crawfish bowl, we're gonna have like a raffle going on that day. So whenever people donate money to that raffle for something, or is it a raffle? It's thing when you write your name down on a sheet of paper and like you bid on like a basket item.
Oh, like a silent auction?
Silent auction, yeah. We're doing a silent auction kind of deal there, and that money's going to go towards like our cause and everything. What's another thing we're doing? Mainly, I mean, the big goal this year is to fundraise for that Hood to Coast race of kids. So, I mean, it's that the fundraiser that goes through is for a cancer organization. So, like that's our first goal, to raise money for that, and it's a whopping $12,000 that we got to raise. So, we
Oh, wow.
we're pretty confident we can do it with given some of the resources that we've got and like some of the other ideas. We're fundraising T-shirts, of course, and then we're doing a beer like label. We're trying to work with some of the breweries here on getting beers so we can have 6-packs that people would buy from us, and like that money would go towards our fundraiser.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, like got a bunch of stuff just kind of like in the works, but it's kind of like what you just said, like it's all talk until it happens, but like we are trying to do things for the community. So like it's a lot of ideas that we're going to kind of just, spit out and see how they work with the community and how it responds.
So as of right now, what are y'all's meeting locations and then times if somebody that's listening to this wants to go and show up at a run?
MKT, we meet up over there, and it's in front of Highline Park, a bar that's out over there. It's 7 p.m. every Wednesdays. It's always been that way, so we've never changed it. And then we also meet Tuesdays now at the new Memorial timing track over in Memorial Park. And then we meet on Saturdays, 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. at also at Memorial Park Trails. And usually those Saturday long runs are about like 10-mile runs that we end up doing.
Okay. Next time I'm in town, I'm coming out. Whether I'm fit or not, I'm gonna come out. And I'm gonna.
Yeah. And if you make it on a Wednesday, it'd be super cool. But if you made it even on a Saturday, it'd be fun too. We can hang out a lot longer after.
Yeah, I'll ride a bike maybe.
Yeah.
I'll start building up my mileage so I can hang with you guys. Is there any y'all thinking about expanding to multiple locations or anything like that, or is that kind of like You gotta wait and see for a little bit and then see if you can
Yeah,
grow like
we've
that.
thought about going to other places. I mean, like for Saturday long runs, like we'll go like sometimes we'll go to like Sam Houston State Park, or like we'll go to Belleville, or we'll just go run like somewhere else like kind of closer in Houston, like a Terry Hershey or something like that. But like for Wednesdays, like we've talked about kind of like spreading out and going to other bars and stuff like that. So I mean, it could happen in the future, but we're pretty comfortable where we're at. I mean, it's honestly such a good place. Like if you saw the atmosphere, like you'd be like, yeah, you don't want to leave this. Like if somebody else took this away, like it'd be a steal for them.
All right, sweet. And then other
Yeah.
cities or anything, other like little groups, like are we gonna fight club this thing where it just like starts popping up everywhere, you know?
That would be great. Good guys global.
Yeah, there you
Jake
go.
Jake did kind of start a Good Guys Oahu. So he moved to Hawaii, and me and him were like, I've said it, like we were the partners together on this. And he's the big lead that like kind of started this all together, and like we've been friends for so long. So I was like piggybacking off him. I'm like, yeah, dude, like I got you. Like I'll support you. Let's get these people together. So whenever he left and ultimately dumped the whole thing in my lap, um, last year, I think around August is when he left. He was over there, and you knew he just missed like the atmosphere and everything. And he's like, dude, I think I'm gonna start Good Guys Oahu out here. Like I have some people that are interested in running, and like I'm just gonna do it. And he's got a small little run club out over there, but I think he's more independent, and he just kind of just goes anywhere he can on the island.
Hmm.
But maybe we get like a Good Guys Colorado going
There you
for
go.
sure. Come up there.
Awesome.
Might not be used to the elevation, but
That's not too bad, you know.
but we
You
can
get
we can
used to it.
travel up there for like some altitude training or something.
There you go. Bring that elite team up. You guys can all stay in my one bedroom apartment with me, you know? Like
That would be good. It'd be fun. We'll make it work. We all stuff in a van, to all 12 of us in a van, so we can do an apartment too.
oh, with running too. In the
Yeah,
heat, right?
yeah, exactly. It's fun.
All right, man.
But
Well,
yeah.
winding down now a little bit, I always like to end these podcasts with like a little bit of a wrap up. And one of the big themes that we've been talking about is really fostering community, right? So in
Mhm.
that in-person community where people come together, they get a little bit of fitness in, get a little bit of social time in, all that good stuff. So if we could distill this whole thing into your like previous, usually we call it like an ounce of prevention, right?
Mhm.
An ounce of how you guys fostered that community. What would you tell all of our listeners?
I would say like the best way to, I guess, kind of surround yourself and have something successful like what we had is just creating like the unique opportunities for people to improve themselves physically and mentally. And I feel like that's something that's been very good to our core values of like what we do. Like if your goal is to improve physically, like we're gonna be there for you. If your goal is like just to hang out and like want to socialize and improve yourself mentally, like we're gonna be here for you. So I mean that's kind of our mission as a nonprofit, is to create those unique opportunities for people. And socializing, like we're gonna do a pickleball tournament or something like that, or just a bar crawl, or even whatever. If it just comes down to this, like, yeah, we'll just be your friends, like even outside of the run club, come play some Mario Smash Brothers with us or something like that. Like we'll do that. Like that's just kind of the culture that we keep up. So like just keep it fun, don't take it super seriously, but just have good tension, good heart behind it.
Yeah, and then I think I'm going to have your brother on too because he's a PT over at that Bulletproof Physical Therapy
Mm-hmm.
as well at some point, so we can talk about injury prevention for runners. We've obviously had a bunch of injury prevention episodes on the podcast, and I'm going to give you guys a good discount for my strength training for runners PDF.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and man, Rodney, thank you so much for spending time chatting with me today. And good guys always win, right?
Yep. Good guys always win.
Awesome. Well, I'll be talking with you soon. Maybe we can get a Good Guys Run Club Colorado going.
Heck yeah. Let's do it. Altitude training.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Art of Prevention podcast. If you did enjoy and or benefit from some of the information in this podcast, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. or please give us a 5-star review on any platform that you find podcasts. One thing to note, that this podcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. No patient is formed, and if you are having any difficulty, pain, discomfort, etc. with any of the movements or ideas described within this podcast, please seek the help of a qualified and board-certified medical professional, such as your medical doctor or a sports chiropractor, physical therapist, etc.